ones that really don't even know what CMS is. They've never seen it, they've never touched it, they don't really have much information about it. So this is not a training session. We're not going to really drill down. We're going to fly at about 35,000 feet, and hopefully you get a pretty good flavor of what it is. That's a pretty good segue into, well, that's the wrong presentation. I had a slide there that said meeting objectives. Now you have this. I have a different one. The workshop objectives, let me just tell you what they are. There was a slide before this, is to provide you a basic understanding of what CMS is and how it works. I mean, pretty simple. The other one is to share with you our experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are some things that we did well. There are some things we didn't do so well. And we want to share that with you so you can benefit from it. So really, that's the objective of today's workshop. And we would have had a slide that said that's a good segue into, we designed an agenda around the objectives. First thing I want to do is give you some context, the overview. And that's that document that you have, that's 6 pages. That's the first. Second thing is the CMS demo. I think you're all here, believe me, I stayed up nights thinking about how I can bypass everything and get to the demo. If I used to sit there and say, show it to me. Everybody wants to see the demo quickly. I'm going to try to get us there as quickly as we possibly can. But unfortunately, we only have an hour. I can talk about CMS for 2.5 hours. I can show you CMS for 2.5 hours. But unfortunately, we only have an hour. But we are going to get to a demo. And where possible, wherever we can, we're going to bypass entering in data, because that just takes a lot of time. I will talk through the screens so you get a pretty good idea of exactly what happens. But we're not going to sit there and watch Janet's key and data, or else we'll be here forever. The other thing I'll say about demo is, if you see the little footnote down below, we are video recording, we're capturing all the keystrokes and my voiceover, and we'll be making that demo available to you out on YouTube. So, if you missed something, if you'd like to hear something again, or you want to go back to your conference and show it to other folks that are not able to come here, as of October 6th, you'll just enter in that web address. That will take you to our server. There'll be a web page, and there'll be a link. And when you click on that link, it'll take you out to YouTube. And you'll have the demo. Pretty cool. So that way there, you don't have to worry about taking copious notes. Well, you can take them, but at the same time, you'll have something to refer to. The other item is the implementation recommendations. Like I said, I know I've installed a lot of software in my lifetime. What I always wanted from somebody is lessons learned. You know, what happened? What was good things? What was bad things? And we want to share that with you from our perspective, so that you will make the same mistakes and maybe you'll capitalize on some of our successes. And the last thing is we'll open up for Q&A. Now, you can ask questions anytime during the presentation. No problem whatsoever. Larry will come by with the mic. Larry will be the moderator. So, you know, we got to get through this in an hour. We're going to try to do that. So we might have to shut down some questions, but feel free to ask questions, okay? So let's get to the overview. Anybody think that looks familiar? Just take a look at it. This is my attempt to say that I believe St. Vincent de Paul, regardless of what conference, what council that you're in, where you live around the country, we all basically follow this process. I mean, you might call things something a little different than what I called it. You might have an extra step in the process, or maybe eliminate 2 of the steps. But basically, we all go through that process. It's a process. It is the force of technology, which means I don't care whether you got an internet-based system, or a Microsoft Access-based system, or a paper-based system, or an Excel system. At the end of the day, the process is the process is the process. So I have a question for you. It might be a 2-parter, depending upon how you answer the first one. So I'll warn you. client who has an internet-based system that automates all those steps in the process, in our single flow system process. And this is the second part, it's just the name. And it is tightly integrated. The client side is tightly integrated with the financial side. So you're not offline here working with Quick. So raise your hand if you have an internet-based system that automates all those steps in the process. Sir? One. Except for St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia. The one, Jack, keep your hand down. You better have one. Sir? One. Two. Nobody else? Okay, you get the answer to the second part of the Okay, here's part two. Okay. Your system. Keep your hand up if that system allows you to enter the client in one time, but you have visibility to all the activity of that client, all the case notes, all their past assistance across all of your conferences within your conference. Keep your hand down, Larry. Within the council or within the district or some other hierarchy outside of your conference, not just within your conference. That's a better way of saying it. Nobody, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just answered the first question. That is CMS. Yes,
I was going to say that I think our main administrator of our system has access, but nobody else can.
Okay, that's the question. The question is I got a client coming in today into your conference, and I don't know if they went to conference B 2 weeks ago. Do you have visibility to that they just received assistance 2 weeks ago? The conference right next door to you.
And red flag of a third of you.
I'm sorry?
And red flag of a third of you.
Yeah, and red flag. Did I see another hand go up? Sir? They're all in one system. So you have visibility. You have visibility within those 8 conferences. That's correct. With the system that you have. Correct. Great. Okay. Then you get the answer part 3. Okay. That system, does it support multiple browsers? Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, Chrome? Okay. Anybody else got it? Okay. So we kind of like drilled down there. I said that is CMS. We just define what is CMS. It's exactly what it does. It automates the St. Vincent de Paul assistance process. It gives you visibility of the client's activity across all conferences, and it means all kind of reporting requirements at all different levels. National, council, district, and conference. Now, to be honest with you, we're really not doing anything. CMS today is not doing anything from the district level, and that's not because CMS cannot do it. It is structured. The hierarchy does provide for it to do it. It's just that it hasn't been a priority for us in 2014. It will be a priority in 2015 when we get our district treasurers and our district presidents together and they define their requirements. Okay? And we do that with 3 modules. CMS has 3 big modules. Conference administration, case management, and treasury that are all tightly integrated. So you can't really separate one from the other. And you'll see all this when we go through the demo, but I just want to give you an idea. Okay, CMS, this is what I call the top 10 major features. It's what I think CMS does extremely well. I can talk about any one of those for a half an hour. And for the sake of time and rushing to get to the demo, I won't. But I'm going to do one thing better. I'm going to show it to you rather than talk about it. I'm going to show it to you when we go through the demo. You will see just about everything there. So you might want to keep that sheet out or at least flag it, because when we go through the demo, you will see this functionality coming out. The only one that you probably won't see is the last one, which is the simple, fast monthly closing process, because we're not going to show monthly closing this from a financial standpoint. So kind of briefly describe it. So this is what happens. Treasurer has their bank statement. Got their bank statement. How many treasurers do we have in the room? Great. Okay, so you get your bank statement, maybe third of the month, fifth of the month, whatever it is. And of course, it has all the checks that clear. So you sit down with CMS and you're just kicking off the clear checks. And at the same time, CMS is calculating all the debits, all the credits, knows the beginning balance, so it calculates the ending balance. Now, all the treasurer does is compare the debits, credits, and ending balance that CMS says it has to what the bank statement says it has. Everything's in balance? Great. All you do is run 3 reports, you click close, you're done. That's it. It's a pretty simple and quick process. Probably the longest part of the process is obviously looking at the bank statement and you have all those cleared checks. You got to go over here, you got to click them over there. That's probably the longest part of the process. But it's a pretty simple process. Okay? That's the only thing you will not see there, sir.
It's like QuickBooks for the treasurer.
Is it like QuickBooks for the treasurer? I'm not familiar with QuickBooks. Yeah, I'm familiar with. But I don't know the details behind QuickBooks. But it's, let's put it this way. Every time that a caseworker puts through a financial transaction and the treasurer approves it, it gets recorded into a check register at the CMS. Okay? And then it's the same thing, and you clear the check.
There's one big difference though, from a QuickBooks perspective, you have to import or export so you can do things. This is all integrated. This is a real-time display of transactions, and as you manipulate and flag and report on them, it's in there. So there's no
category.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we produce a financial report at the very end. There's 3 reports that come out from the month end close. So like I said, we'll see all of those features when we go through the demo. Okay? Now, I wanted to give you a look at St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia, our environment. So you can probably kind of process it and kind of map it to yours to see where you are. We have 63 of our 71 conferences live at CMS. We have 2,400 active users. We've got 176 active clients. Now, you might look at that and say, boy, that's an awful lot. Well, it is. And here's what happens. For those of you that are in paper-based and you move to CMS, you're in heaven because you're starting clean. We came from a system and we had, when we wrote an import program. Well, if you've been in software development long enough, you know that import programs are not perfect. You cannot get them 100%. So we brought over a lot of duplicate clients that in our prior system, we had the client in the system multiple times. So if they were in your conference, you had them as a client. If they were in my conference, I had them as a client, and they could have been in 15 conferences. The program had no way of knowing how to rationalize all that into one. So that's probably the reason why that number is pretty high.
How they were in so many conferences?
Pardon me?
How did you get them into so many conferences?
They moved. They moved. They moved. And I said 15, probably not.
But you mean they physically moved or
Sure.
they gave you a different address?
No, well, but they gave us the address, we verified the address, and they physically moved. So a client might live within my parish boundaries today, and I help them. And then they moved maybe 10 miles down the road. It's outside of my parish boundaries, it's another thing.
So your vetting process didn't allow you to see anything else or check for the previous address, all that conference, the vetting process?
Yes, yes. In the old system we had, in other words, that client would be in your conference with an address. That client would be in my conference with an address. Possible. Because we did not have, back in the old system, we didn't have any single client with one address. The new system, we have a single client with one address. That's, well, you still look confused.
I am a little bit confused.
Okay, so what happens is, and maybe this is a Georgia phenomenon, I doubt it, but I need some help. I find out that St. Luke's is the great St. Vincent de Paul organization, go pay my electric bill. On January 1st, I go there and I get paid. I go home and go, hey, honey, there it is, St. John's, 5 miles down the road. You go there, you get February payment.
Okay, so you're not making that home visit verify that address.
We are.
We are.
And so is the other conference,
But then we're being.
but we don't talk to each other. But we're,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what?
One of the issues that we have is that we help people from the area, right? We have a assigned area
Yes,
for conference.
right.
But by whatever, it was a decision that if a person is registered in the church, even if she belongs to or he
Right.
belongs to another area, we will help.
That's
Right.
right.
So
Right.
it's possible that people are registered in 3 or 4 different parishes.
Right.
So that's the issue that we find there.
Yeah,
So,
we have a way to indicate that the person is a person. We have the exact same rule. I think most same law conferences do. If they're a parishioner and they live outside your boundaries, we help them.
yeah, we don't.
I mean, that's just like an unspoken rule. We don't ask any questions. But we still go through the same vetting process. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're not going to check to find out if that parishioner is getting help in multiple conferences. That might influence your decision. That might say, even though they're a parishioner,
Absolutely, okay.
they're abusing the system. Okay? But we have, I cannot control whether they're registered in 15 different parishes. What you can do, you'll see in CMS, you can indicate that they are a parishioner.
Move on.
Okay, ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, demo time. Okay, you have a demo script. Okay, it's 2 pages. So let me set this up for you, give you the scenario.
One more?
While Janice gets it, while the technology is working. So here's a scenario that's going to sound very, very familiar, except for the name. Maybe. Well, the name's
Is it showing up okay?
right? Alice Cooper calls in to the helpline. Alice, who is a she or a he, we're not sure what, says that he or she needs rent and food and leaves their phone number. And that's it. We know nothing else. So of course, what we typically do, and you probably do too, we want to do some research first. We want to see if we ever helped this Alice Cooper, right? So we come to our search screen, and we have many ways to search Alice Cooper. Now, if Alice Cooper gave us her birthday, we can search by birthday and her name. If it gave us a social security number, last 5 digits, we can do that. You can see all the multiple search criteria that we have. Right now, all we have is Alice Cooper. And so when you do a search, CMS goes out there and does a phonetic search. That's why you see Alicia Cooper as well as Alice Cooper. There's only one Alice Cooper, but there's an Alicia Cooper. Now, there is a way, it's too technical to describe, for you to just put in Alice Cooper. It found it because Cooper and Alice is similar to Alicia, or Alicia similar to Alice. That's the phonetic search. So, we're going to select Alice Cooper, and what do we find? We have Alice Cooper in the system. There's her profile information that she has, and now we're going to go check past the system. Okay, this is a big one. Pay attention. This is what I was driving at. We have visibility to everywhere Alice Cooper got assistance. Alice Cooper, in this case, received assistance from Holy Family, St. Catherine's, All Saints, and you can see the dates, you can see the amounts. Okay, you can see that checks were paid, whether they got in-kind services, they could have just come in and just gotten food or some meat, or both, they received the check as well as an in-kind assistance as well. We could if we wanted to, but we're not. Before Janice goes over to case intake, you can click on any one of those cases. And what happens is a more detailed screen shows. And you can see all the case notes. You can see the check number. You can see everything that you did on that case. But we're not going to do that because then we've got to navigate that. Sure.
You only get this past history if the other conferences have the same system.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You don't have the system, I don't know about
You're
it.
the only one in your conference.
You're only going to see you. That, I'll tell you, if you ask me, the number one feature of CMS, the benefit, that's the benefit. You get the benefit by having more conferences on the same system. By you just having it doesn't do you any good. You have a paper-based system. It accomplishes the same thing. You can only see your clients. So, got another question?
Do we do the search by address?
Yes, you can. You can do search by address, you can do search by date of birth, you can do search by, if you want to narrow down your searches, you know, you get something like Smith or Jones, you can say, show me all the male Smiths, females, and that kind of like narrows down your search. Yeah, the search criteria, you saw the search criteria screen, we just didn't go through the search.
The, details of the case.
Yes.
If you scan that in, it's manually inputted.
Well, it's a result of the case. When you went through the case, we're going to go through the case intake process. It is a result of going through the case intake process and the case worker process. So it isn't a paper that you scan in. It's the data that you entered in.
But you said we could get notes, but are we,
There's a free-form section where you
Where you, yeah, you're
you
not,
have to type in the notes?
yes, you do.
Hold the,
Yes, you do.
Does it search both client and household?
No, not yet. Not yet. You can. There you go. Yeah, that's on our bucket list.
It will search by house.
It will search by household. That's what I was going to get to. If you go to the household search, you can do that. But I think what you're saying is, I just keyed in Alice Cooper, but I don't know if Alice Cooper is a client or was a household member, right? Because, yeah, at that level, you don't know, but what you'll have to do is two operations. You can search by client and then you can search by household.
Search by household, the client.
Yes,
Associated.
yes, but you gotta do a separate search.
They're linked, it just can't be viewed at that level. You have to
It can't be.
household side.
So you can enter the wife's name, which is different from the husband's name,
Of course.
so that they don't flip flop.
So in our case, we have a lot of families that live 2 or 3 families in one household. And sometimes they work sort of separately for to get their one household.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it's the same answer, whether you got 2 or 3 families living in one house or you only have one family living in one house. The issue is this. You do have the ability to search by client and by household member. So you do have that.
And address.
An address, can't go, no, I don't want to go back right now.
Let's table
The
this.
Let's
search
do
function
this
has
after.
2 options. One by client and one by household. If you choose client, you can do address and everything else. If you choose household, you can find those other members of the household.
John,
In the essence of time, John, let
You
me
just
jump
can't do one.
in. You can search all day long.
okay.
Any which way you want to do it, it's in there. In the essence of time, let's
Okay,
put that on the sidebar. I want you to see the rest of it. We'll take that up as a sidebar as your specific search criteria.
Okay, so this is the profile information. What we discovered is that Alice Cooper has a different phone number. Called her back and different phone number the last time she was here, and her address has changed too. So we can immediately change that. Okay, and again, this is part of the case intake function. So, remember that handout that I told you about the Big Ten? I talked about workflow enabled process. I think that's a bullet item there. You're going to see this. We're bringing the user through the process, step by step by step. You got to do step 1 before you get to step 2. Now, I don't know about you, but in my conference, back in the old system, we have people that don't touch the system for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they forget what to do first, what to do second, what to do third. You don't need to worry about that anymore. The system brings you through the case intake process and will not allow you to go to step 2 until you complete step 1. And you can see the graphical user interface. That was another item on that list. That is a wizard kind of interface. So it isn't a list of feature functions you can just click on one. You can see that it's very easy. All Janice is doing is clicking next as we go through the process. So Janice is going to click next. System's going to go out and it's going to see if we got any current matches because we changed the phone number. Well, we might have somebody else with that same phone number. And it's going to go search on date of birth. It's going to go search on social security number. It's going to go search on address. gonna search on all those other elements and say, hey, listen, I have others out there that have the similar criteria. Why don't you take a look at it? Well, in the interest of time, we're not. You see that we have others with date of birth matching. We know this is our Alice Cooper, so Janet's gonna click on it. And now what the system does is brings you up two views. It says there's the current match, which is what's out on the database right now, the old phone number and the old address. And then the intake. This is a case-based system. Everybody goes to the doctor here, right? When you go to the doctor, if you're a new patient, you know what, you got to fill out all that paperwork, right? So you got to set yourself up as a new patient. Every time you go back, it's another case, right? It's case A, it's case B, it's case C. The exact same thing here. We're opening up a case for Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper is already in the system as a client. This is just another case. So in this case, we changed the phone number, we changed the address, and it's asking me which one do I want. Well, of course, I want the one for this case. And it's going to update the database too a little bit. You'll see that. So I select it. And now, you got Alice Cooper on the phone. You might find out that we got those 4 families living in there, and we could add those 4 family members. We could delete a family member. You can change the age. You can do a lot of things here for the household information. You can also declare who the spouse is. And that's very easy to do. But we're not going to do that right now. Like I said, we're minimizing data entry to get through. The next one is the request details. Here we're capturing what the client tells us, not necessarily what we're doing, what we're providing. We just want to capture, if they said that they needed rent and they needed food, we want to document that for the caseworker. But that may be different on how we assist. So we go to next. The next step in the process is the other agencies. We want to know other agencies in the last 12 months that the client might have applied for benefits. That could be TANF, that could be SSI, that could be food stamps. Now, my experience, I asked this question, nobody's ever going to tell me. I mean, they just don't tell you that. Even if they did go, if they do have that, they probably won't tell you that, especially if you say, did you get assistance from Salvation Army? I can tell you that. So
the level of confidence of the information that you're getting from the client is what? 10%?
oh no, just in that case. In that case? In that case?
The question.
Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, Larry. The level of confidence that we have,
You know, my experience, at least in our area, is that our levels of our experience with the accuracy of the information that we get, especially when there's income or assistance from other agencies, is very low.
right.
And I've been asking all the conferences is the same. So and that's because I understand it's human nature. Something is gonna, hamper it. Right?
Yeah.
You know, that you're gonna get help.
We're very cautious about what they tell us.
Yeah, yeah, but when you do the home visit, outside, because they're going to tell you what they want to tell you, right? Okay, but the home visit, I mean, the way we do home visits, I mean, you're drilling down into the income. You want to see all the income, you want to see all the expenses. We want proof of that. I mean, that you can control. Okay, ready to go on? Okay, so the next step in the process is just the eligibility. And what CMS come back and said, this person's okay. They're not red flags. If they were red flags, we would know that. And as you can see, the accordion down below, you have to click on the past assistance. You get another look at the past assistance before you open up the case. Now keep in mind, I want to make sure we're all in the same part of the story of the movie. We haven't decided whether we're going to help this client or not. The only decision we made is that we'll open up the case, we'll do a home visit, and we'll tell you whether we're going to help you or not help. There'll be part 2 to this in a minute. Okay? So just make sure we're not losing track where we are. Okay, so I'm going to submit this case. And the last step in the process is to assign the caseworker. You can assign the primary and secondary caseworker, and you can assign the case manager. Janice is going to assign me as the primary caseworker, and somebody else adds a secondary. Now, it all depends who takes the calls, right? I mean, sometimes you just know, with us, it's real simple, there's only three. So you really know who's gonna be the caseworker, it's gonna be A, B, or C. Sometimes it's a pretty large conference and they know just who's gonna be on call. Maybe it's based upon location of where the client lives, relative to the caseworker. There's a lot of things that go into it. Okay, so then we're gonna assign John Pepe as the caseworker. And now, John Pepe has just been assigned the caseworker. It's gone into my assigned cases folder. So when John Pepe signs on, I go to my assigned cases and I find Alice Cooper as one of the cases that has been assigned to me. See the workflow? See the flow of the work that moved from case intake now? It's moved to the caseworker. Sir.
In our conference, we don't assign caseworkers until we then we assign around. Bypass that step.
Sure. Well, what you do is you just put it in the unassigned. You just don't assign the caseworker. It goes into the unassigned folder. I don't know if you noticed on the
Do you want me to go back?
screenshots there, you'll see an unassigned one. You keep it there until you know who you're going to assign to. And then you click to it and
He's got a
assign whatever primary secretary you want. So there is an unassigned one as well. So,
Very quick question. Is this the only way the caseworker is
Don't go back to it.
yes.
Okay, so he has to monitor CMS, or does he get a article or some sort of alert?
Does he get an email?
So he has to do it every day, he has to log in. So,
Yeah, well, hopefully the case intake person says, hey, listen, I just put a case out there for you. You know, some communication is required. Yeah, but I'll show you where there is some automation with notifications between the caseworker and other roles within the organization when we get to it. So, okay, so now I'm going to do a pre-visit work, okay? So we're not doing the post-visit. So here I got this case just assigned to me. There's a couple things I need to know. One, I need to know their phone number because I need to call them to schedule the home visit, right? The other thing I might need to know is how do I get there? You know, I know the address, but I don't know how to get there. So in CMS, you have both those capabilities. But the first one is you can print a case record form, which has all the profile information, it has financial information for the last case. It has all of that ready to go for the caseworker to take on the home visit. And of course, it has the phone number and it has the address. But if you're unfamiliar with the area and you need to find out where the address is or how to get there, you can just click on the Google Maps and it will show you exactly where that client lives. And then you're ready to go on your home visit. Okay? So that's my pre-visit work that I've done. So now I've gone out on my home visit with my secondary, and we sit and we talk to the client, we talk to the client's family, and we gather all information. And obviously we're taking copious notes, and we might be updating the form. We find out that Granny now lives in the household, and this other household member no longer lives there, and we get all the financial data and everything, and we come back from our home visit. Okay, so I want to make sure we're all in the same part of the story here. So we all come back. Yes, sir.
is a home visit required for your system?
No. As a matter of fact, we don't do a home visit in our conference. We have clients come to us, and that's sort of like level one. And then if we suspect that there might be problems, then we'll send home visitors out. Some conferences do that, so it's not required.
I'm looking at that red flag box up there.
Yes.
What's up there? Who red flag and why were they red flag?
Well, we're
And what do you mean by red flag?
well.
Don't worry about finding it.
Okay. Well, Jim, I don't know where'd you go.
We're
We're coming back from home visit. Okay.
yeah,
so
you're coming back from the home visit.
An officer can red flag. Okay. So an officer red flags, we got to give a reason.
What is your reason for red flag?
Whatever you decide to do, you put it in text.
I just had a meeting with Mike Sislo yesterday about red flagging, caution, disqualifying, and he said, we never do that.
We always do it.
We do. We do.
I mean, he said, as a rule, good sentence should never do
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Okay, I know, don't shoot the message. I won't shoot the message. But now I'm speaking as a caseworker. That client came to you and you know that that client is abusing the system, you are doing me a disservice when they come to me and not tell me that. Tell me in their case notes very nicely without red flag, but you can't red flag and you can't put in a reason, is the answer. Okay, so now I came back from the home visit and now I'm ready to enter in the other information, the post-visit information. So now I come back to this main menu and I go to my assigned cases again and I click on Alice Cooper and it brings me exactly where I left off. That's where I left off when I did the briefing. So ready to go on to the next step in the process, which is the visit information. So what we're going to do here is declare what kind of visit it was. When somebody asked the question before, do you need to do a home visit? The answer is no. You see that there's an other person visit there. Selection, a home visit, elderly visit, a prison visit, all different types of visits. You're going to put in the hours and miles that the caseworker and the secondary, usually we go in twos, right? Put in the hours and miles. Now what's the value of that? Anybody ever heard of the annual report? For the sins of our life, you got the annual report. And the council wants to know, everybody wants to know how many hours and how many miles did we all drive. Well, once you put it in there, it's all accumulated and it will get accumulated on the annual report. It's only one of many tasks, obviously. Okay, next. Okay, we have the client information again, just bringing up. Now, what's the purpose of this? Again, you went on the home visit, something could have changed from the case intake. You learned a lot more. And so you want to update the client's record as you're going through the process, right? So you can do that. You might have found out that they're on different kind of benefits or not on benefits, social security number change, whatever. But again, you're just taking your notes and you're kind of updating the database.
John, can I interrupt you here for 1 second? I'm trying not to kill your flow, but this is an important tab here. From our perspective, this tool is in its infancy, in our view, it's been around, a year. But the huge benefit we're beginning to see, and where we see this connects and closes the loop, is in the grant writing that we're doing. A lot of the grant requests are asking very specific quantities, veteran status, income, those types of things. So the more you get on the front end, the easier it's going to be to extract that data for your grant writing process. Is it perfect? No. But we're building, always building reports and user interfaces and extraction tools and things like that. I just think it's important you understand this thing comes full circle. Instead of going getting all your paper and your bushel baskets and your napkins and your Excels and on and on and on, it's all in one online repository, accessible around the globe, around the clock.
Okay, I'm a retired social worker, so my thought is always, where did you refer this client to? If they're not drawing staff, if they're not drawing data, did you refer them to publication?
That's coming. That's coming.
What did they do?
Yeah.
Does this program deal with that?
Yes.
You have the ability.
We needed to
We're
hold
not
the
gonna
questions
go
till the
there.
end, because he'll get to
To
that.
put
That's
through
okay.
a transaction,
That's okay.
say refer.
Okay.
Transaction, and we refer to.
Let me.
And the annual report will report that you have submitted 22 referrals.
We're approaching 10 o'clock, and we'll get yours, and then I'm going to suggest we get to the end of this thing and may answer some of your questions, and then we'll circle back with some more questions. But hang on 1 second. Is that okay, Jim?
Sure.
My question is, do all these categories match the annual report?
Yes.
Because I thought hospital and elder care are separated.
You'll see the annual report.
You'll see the annual report committed. Yeah, we keep track of the visits by those same categories.
Yeah, John, I will be quiet.
Okay, that's fine. I clicked. Yeah, Janet, you clicked. I thought I got it.
No, click next.
Okay, so once again, the system is giving us two choices here. We got the current match, which is the most recent information, and potential match, which is out in the database. We want the current match. And Janet is going to update. So now we're ready to overwrite the database with all the new information. So the next time somebody comes through and Alice Cooper gets called up in another conference, all the information has been updated. They have visibility to Okay, once again, this is the household information. I won't spend too much time. You might have learned something new about the household information that we did collect when we did case intake, and you could add, delete, change, do a lot of things here as well. We move to the next one. We got 3 situation screens. Situation screen number 1 is going to be your case notes, if you will. And I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about our other system that we have. The other system that we had, it was very possible for a caseworker to submit a check request without putting in any cases. That was bad. Although it was very flexible, you might want to look at it and say, boy, that was really flexible. That did me absolutely no good. All they did was run through the system and get a check. CMS required that you put in your cases. And I think that's a great requirement. I think we all want to know, especially as that client moves from conference to conference. So that's one. The other one requirement on the screen is, so what's going to change? How are you going to improve your situation? And we all sit down with clients and say, okay, fine, but tell me your plan. Man.
So you create an action plan?
You could. You can.
That's something.
I'll tell you this really fast. There is a conference within our council that when that client comes back, they have an action plan and they go through every piece of it and say, how'd you do against this item, this item, this item? Yeah. Honestly, truly. You know, but it all depends at what level you want to get. Okay, so that's situation screen number 1. Situation screen number 2 is option. Okay, what we're collecting here is the employment information, current tax, and we're collecting the financial information, the income and the expense. Again, you should have recorded all of this when you went on your home visit, right? And that's what you asked for, it's financial data. So now you're putting it in the system. Is it required? No. But if you put it in, obviously it'll print out. So, the case record form. Remember at the very beginning? Case record form? Yep. It has all that, and they're basically scratching out, scratching things out, and and writing over it. Okay. So the third screen is the Larry's point is grant writing information that we ask the caseworker to capture. Now, we as caseworkers do very little with it. The purpose why we got it here is so that at some point we can produce reports for grants. So it's information for grant writing. It probably doesn't assist us very much from a case standpoint, but it's good information to have. It's how was this thing taken care of in the past and the future. Yeah. So you got to check something, or you got to write something in. You got to enter something in on by a screen. So the third screen. Oh, that is the third screen. I'm sorry. Okay, so now we're ready to place a request for financial assistance. Remember Alice Cooper? Asked for 2 things. Asked for rent and asked for food. One is a financial transaction, one's a non-financial transaction, right? At the same time. So Janet's going to go through real fast. I'll kind of stop talking a minute just so you can follow how it's done.
I'll jump in when he's being quiet. I don't know if you noticed throughout the entire demo, those little red asterisks, throughout those various pages, when there's a red asterisk, it's a mandatory data field. You can't, if you hit next, it says please complete whatever it is.
So this is the housing transaction. She's requesting a check. She knows the vendor. The vendor could be an apartment complex, could be a landlord, it could be a utility company, whatever. Obviously, if it was utilities, you can see all the utility companies. Okay. So, I'm sorry? That's a profile, that's a table change. Your console admin would be able to do that. You can add the lead vendor. You can't do it as a console, it's got to be done as a console. Because it's for everybody.
Yeah, I know, but you have vendors.
No. Pardon me?
Oh.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the drop down menu.
Wait a minute.
Editable at the council level. If you're paying Joe Blow, type it in.
Yeah, we don't, I mean, utility companies is basically the only thing that we use, because they're pretty standard. But when it comes to apartment complex and landlords, you're crazy if you're gonna enter that into the table. I wouldn't do it.
No, those drop-down boxes were made for efficiency for us, for Georgia Power, whatever. It's configurable for your local site.
Okay, so, Janice, go back. Okay, so, Janice, I don't know if you were watching while we were having that dialogue. She entered in financial transactions, $500. She entered in a bag of food for $40. So let me tell you what just happened when she entered in financial transactions. Somebody asked about communication before. An email just got fired off to the treasurer. To tell the treasurer that there is a request for payment out there that the treasurer now will go look in his or her folder for a check request. So an email just went to the treasurer. So the treasurer doesn't have to sit there monitoring. I think that was the question before about casework. Doesn't sit there and monitor, do I have any check requests? Do I have any check requests? Getting told, it's got an email. Okay? Obviously with the food, nothing happened because we didn't place a check request. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and play treasure. Okay?
Well, all
We're
right.
not gonna close the case yet.
No, but we're done. We're good.
Pardon me?
Yeah,
Well,
I just had to click next to show them the done screen.
oh yeah, well, this one will come back to.
Right.
Because you can't close the case. The caseworker closes the case. It's not done automatically. And two conditions must exist before a caseworker can close the case. One is that the check has been paid, and two, you put in the follow-up information. That might only be the date. But if you want to enter in text, you can. So until then, the case is still open. So the case is still open right now. We're going to go play treasure, and I'm going to show you, for the treasurers that are in the room, what just happened. So you got an email saying that there was a request for assistance. So you're going to go back to the main menu. Okay, see the check request folder right there? Not everybody gets to see that. If you don't have a role as a treasurer, you don't ever get to see that on your main menu. Again, CMS has a lot of controls in its security by role, by hierarchy. So only a treasurer gets to see that line item. So he or she would click on it, sees that there's a request for Alex Cooper for $500. They click on it, and they see the check approval screen. Now this is real simple. I play treasurer once in a while when my treasurer's out, and this is a simple task. The first thing I do, obviously, is kind of scan the client and the vendor information. But from a data entry standpoint, only two fields you got to enter in. First one is the check number, and the second one is whether you mailed the check or delivered it. And if you mailed it, you just say the mail date. If you delivered it, you enter in whom you delivered it to. So that could be the leasing office manager, that could be the caseworker who's taking it over to the leasing office, or whoever, or you might have given it to the treasurer. But you're documenting who you gave that check to. And that's all you do, and then the treasurer clicks approve. And that check now is posted to the check register. Janice is going to go over to the check register.
So do we want to show how to close the case before we
No,
go?
I think
No.
it's almost 10 over,
Okay.
10 after, that's when you'll put treasurer you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so while she's doing that, let me just tell you what happened now. More communication. The caseworker just got two notifications. The caseworker got notified that the check was paid, and the caseworker got a notification in their message box that the check was paid. The caseworker would then click on that message in that message box, put in the follow-up information, click done, case closed. Okay, got it? So, so Janet's going to show you that the check was posted in September, you get that is the month, and you see Alice Cooper for $500 down below. Last thing is the annual report. This is slick. You got to see it. We just got finished doing this in the current version 1.1.7, and we want to show it to you. Okay. So once again, you need security to get this far. Not everybody can get to the annual report. It can only be a treasurer, it can be a conference administrator that can get there, but nobody else. So if you look at the tabs, and if you've seen the national conference report that we're required to fill out, I don't know if you've seen it, each one of those tabs represent a section of that report. Now, this is real slick. If you're not keeping anything outside of CMS, any kind of subsystem, and everything that you want reported on the report, you entered into CMS, you just click the print key. Done. CMS has calculated everything that needs to be calculated for in-kind, for number of visits, number of people held, your roster, how many are active members, how many are associate members. Everything is all calculated for you. But if you are keeping something separate, that name over there that says that she tracks referrals. Let's say that you kept a little subsystem for referrals and you didn't enter it into CMS, that you just wanted to keep. You can go into CMS, into the annual report, and change the referral number from 6 to 15, if that's what you want to do. So if everything's in CMS, you're done. All you do is hit the print key, send off the annual report. It gives you the spread by the client demographics. You can see over there, by gender, ethnicity, by gender. All that should look familiar to you if you're familiar with the annual report. And I'm not kidding you. CMS does that calculate. Sir? Pardon comment. Now we roll up. We will roll up to the council level. Okay, that's it. Larry, open it up for questions.
I saw the same person coming back.
A lot of our conferences bundle the payments to utility every 2 weeks. Maybe 10 cases the first 2 weeks, and 15 the next 2. And that's just to control that.
What kind of control you looking for?
Well, so that we know who we owe, you know, how many cases does the conference have that belongs, for example, to Witwatersrand, which we have where we live. The electrical company, who the client is and the amount for that 2 weeks.
Not in its current version? Well, you'd have to.
You can't, Larry.
Billy, lawyer is here from Austin.
Go ahead here. I want to talk to you because you seem to have a lot of good answers. You can. Larry.
Okay, yes, you can do that. That was my first question also. I've been using it since July 16th, full force. And you have to, you go in and do your processing just like you normally would. And then you assign a check number to each one of those cases and it closes the account.
That's
But
right.
you can bundle it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's the way you do it.
Who else had one here?
How did you deal with Vincentians who have either no computers or no computer experience?
I'll take that one. We haven't gotten to the implementation slide. Larry, you need to get up the thing. Okay, so, because I think this is really important. I've implemented a lot of this, I can tell you that. And the good ones that I've implemented focus on people, process, and technology, especially the
We
people.
want this.
The bad ones
That one?
focus on a technology implementation. Just thought.
Is there more screens?
Yes.
I highly
Implementation
encourage,
recommendation.
because the caseworker
That's good.
process probably won't change, much how they do it will change. Same thing, case index. That's one of the things we did not do very well. We did not do very well in terms of communicating and letting people understand their role and training them. It wasn't a very good picture back in October. It really wasn't. Because we didn't spend that kind of time with all those caseworkers that needed to transition from what they were doing to the new system. So I tell you that if number one on my list, spend time focused on the people side, less on the technology side.
You didn't answer the question.
Well,
What about people who are not,
well, not computer literate. I mean, here, I think I know where you're headed with this. What some of the conferences are doing in the council is there are many, many roles in St. Vincent, right? So maybe those who do have computers, those who do know how to log in, those who do know how to manage, they're case intake folks. The people that do the home visits that don't like computers, hand off a piece of paper. And somebody can put that data in for you. Not everybody likes computers, not everybody likes going to the house. So you'll have to figure out something. I don't mean to cut you off. We got about 12 or 13 minutes. I want to answer as many as we
Okay,
can.
let's go.
Just want to know if you can scan and attach peripheral information and then these.
Yes.
You can scan what?
Yes. The question is, can you attach documents via scan? Yes, you can.
Yeah, we choose to shut it off, but you can do that.
We did not scroll that.
My question is about futures. Have you got any kind of an idea of interfacing to the tax appraiser's office for verification of landlord information?
No. We haven't defined, quote, futures yet. We're still working on one series. When we get to two series, we will come up with requirements.
We're happy we're here.
We're happy we got what we got right now.
So wait, they asked me to check on food pantry for this system.
You mean entering in food?
Right. Or anything. Clients are just.
Sure. Janet showed you how you distribute.
There is, and the folks in Austin are a big fan of things. There is a cost.
What went out?
Well, we'll bring up Paul
You
at the
have to
very end and
take
talk
this
about cost and licensing and how all that works. That's why he's here.
Okay.
One of the questions I have here, a lot of data in this relational database, when it comes to systemic change, for instance, the client is having problems with lack of public transportation in the area. Is there anything in there that you could identify through accumulation of data that we've got in this area of your serving area, that there's no public transportation or is inadequate public transportation?
There's currently no built-in data analytics.
No.
That would be something you'd have to do on a local level. Next.
We talked a lot about.
Okay, there's another screen called volunteer tasks that you get to see part of the conference administration. All the caseworker or anybody else, the treasurer, or anybody else that has hours and miles, they just go to conference tasks and they pull it down, they put in their hours, they put in the miles, and all that gets accumulated on the annual report.
So I have a question, and could be two-part. Answer the first
Depends
question.
on my answer.
How much control does the local council have of the administration?
Yeah. And you don't want it. How much local database administration can be done at the council and/or conference level? And the answer is zero. This is a hosted system. It's a SQL database. And trust me, if I'm paying for hosted services, I don't take this the wrong way. I really don't want you touching the database. And the folks that are qualified handle that. Sir.
The system is very robust, has a lot of functionality, capabilities. But I come to a conference where over 90% of the folks are hardly computer users at all. Very elderly conference. I'm giving you this background because I think I represent one room. So we all have those that are computer freaks.
Yeah, right.
Now, are you putting together a user guide targeted 100% to the caseworker? Or, and then are you putting another user guide together with the treasurer?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So now, if I decide to put this in my conference, who could I call on the phone to talk through the issues that I'm working through as they arise? It's going to be tough working with my people to pull this off.
Sure. So let me make a comment on your first question. You're no different than everybody here. You saw 61 of 70 or 63 of 71, whatever it is. You know why? 7 of them pushed back really hard. We said, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. There will be a day where you have to, but that day's not today. So you're going to have to deal with that. And go back to my earlier comments. Perhaps there is somebody in the conference who's willing to take that on. The second part of your question is, you would negotiate something with the developers of the software for some sort of level of support that you want for help desk. If you're expecting a call in 5 minutes, that's a pretty pricey one. If you're willing to take a call same business day, that's much less. If you're willing to take a call in the next 1 to 2 business days, it keeps going down. So that's something that you would have to negotiate if and when you signed up. And the more mass you get, obviously, the better those things fall down, or those costs begin to decrement. So that's the reason Paul is here, and he'll be here for the next couple of days. You can talk about all those things. I will tell you this, the more we get, the better it gets for everybody. Right.
But you do have user manuals.
But there are
You
many.
have user manuals for case intake, for case worker, for treasury, and you have one for the annual report.
So it's being developed. And like I said, the more they get on board, like our friends in Austin, which will leverage. And I'll be very honest, and I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but at some point, should there be a user conference? Should there be a meeting where there's 500 people who use this thing and there's the best practices? I don't know. Major software companies do that all the time.
Is there any concern about client confidentiality?
That's a St. Vincent de Paul thing. This is no worse, and in my opinion, much better than writing it on a piece of paper and leaving it on a table. Or leaving somebody a check in their mailbox, or leaving a client profile in the restaurant accidentally, or wherever it is that you met. This doesn't make it any worse, but you should have best practices in place to protect customer or client information. And when we enter Social Securities, we mask the first 3 or 4 digits. Only 4 or 5 are safe. Yes, ma'am.
You haven't talked at all about the income component here. If you're balancing to the bank account, then you have to be balancing the income as well. Does this have the capability of keeping track of your donors?
The receipts that you receive? Oh, absolutely. The donors themselves.
Yeah.
No,
It
no,
does-
no, no,
it does
no.
not.
That is a subset. We use an Excel spreadsheet database for that. But that, the donor system is where you have to report back and send a letter out at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah, of course. No, donors is not part of it.
It currently does not have that level of granularity. You give us $400, we mark it as a $400 deposit. We don't track who gave it to us.
That's outside the system.
Yeah, today, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. It's just today where we didn't focus on that.
We're going to present this to our conferences for them to make a decision whether they want to come on board or not. Is there a way that we can use this as a training access so that we can evaluate this? And that's question 1. Question 2 is, what about the fees connected to it?
Over to Paul.
Mr. Ball, it's your turn.
Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me grab Paul, but I'm going to hand it to Paul, and then unfortunately, we're on top of another session here. Was this valuable to you? Was, thank you, good. And it has nothing to do with me, it's these 2 folks right here, they really jumped through hoops for you, and I'm glad it was good. Was the level of the content right? We're doing it one more time, is it? So it's not too high now? Okay, very good, very good. Yeah. Here, Paul, let me give you this, and you can talk about how you want to sell it or price it or whatever it is.
Come see me at the booth. We'll talk about it. You all need to, I need to talk to Jolie. Come see me at the booth. We'll talk about introducing it to the